Check, check. 1, 2. Am I on? Are we here? I think. I hope. All right. Welcome, one and all. Welcome to the big live stream for the Bond 50. Oh, I got to lower my volume. Sorry. Okay, this works. Let me lower that. What's up, guys? This is the Honor Majesty Secret Service 50th spectacular live stream where I'm going to tell you all about the event that I went on. It was a 10-day event, I guess, and it was in Portugal and Switzerland. And if you're worried that this live stream is going to be me bragging about the trip I took, that's pretty much what it's going to be. Because this trip was off the hook, absolutely amazing. I literally took more video than I could choke a horse with all the video I took. And I genuinely, literally didn't know what to do with all the video I took. When I left for this trip, I thought I was going to come back and have enough footage to do 2 videos. A video on Portugal and a video on Switzerland. I literally have so much stuff that I didn't know how to carve it up. So I said, you know what I should do? I'll do a live stream when I get back, kind of a rundown, and it'll just be like, again, like Joe's home movies from the trip, and I'll give you a rundown of everything that happened. And I purposely said in the title, it's going to be 2 hours, and because again, I'm kind of at the point like, who am I kidding? I know this is going to go 2 hours. They go 2 hours anyway. This one is easily going to be 2 hours. So welcome to, watch this. Welcome to the Honor Majesty Secret Service 50th recap, the 2-hour live stream. So welcome, one and all. Welcome. And yes, it took a little time to get this thing to work. And look at this. I got a little ticker and everything. Oh my God, you gotta love this. So yeah, I've got some photos from the trip, and I'm just gonna talk about it. I'm just gonna talk about the trip, and again, the chat's up and running. I will, answer stuff as they come. Brag away, Bond Experience says. Thank you. The Bond Armory, what's up? Miss West Seattle, what's going on? Psylocke, what's going on? My partner in crime on this trip, Josiah. Super, again, it's hard to travel. Dave Zarisky, I'm talking to you. It's hard to travel with your best buds because, again, by the end of the trip, you're going to kill each other. And ask David Zarisky how I snore. But I solved the snoring problem. I got one of those things now. So, Psylocke, super duper cool. We had a great time together. Thanks for being my bunkmate this trip. So, what's going on? Lloyd Nance, what's going on? Alan Hellburn, what's up, Alan? How are you? I'll be seeing you next year for sure. Matthew, what's going on, buddy? Matthew from the James Bond Complex, another podcast you should be listening to if you haven't already. So yeah, let's get at it. Like I said, I'm going to talk about the trip. I poured myself a glass of vino. Dave Zarisky, don't give me a hard time, please. I'm getting back on the stick with my good eating, I swear. But I needed that. So let's get going. Like I said, I'll just get started because again, I could sit here all night and tell you that this trip was just off the hook. I seriously have been telling myself, don't use the word Bondgasm, but I swear to you that is honest to God. It's really all that comes to mind. It honest to God was just so like, this was the like the planets and the stars just aligned, okay? I mean, not only is this for decades been my all-time favorite James Bond film. It's got locations that I have been dying to see. I went to Piz Gloria once years ago, but it was a business trip. I was in Geneva. I just scrambled, trains, cable cars, to go see it. It was a cloudy day. It was barren. There was nobody there. So it almost didn't even count. So I was very excited to go back. I was very excited to go back under the circumstances. I was very excited to go to Portugal. I've always wanted to go to Portugal. So that's been on my bucket list for years. So, I mean, so again, you combine all that, plus you literally, I'm dropping my shoes, sorry. I forgot to take my shoes off. I'll get comfortable. You literally, I'm like Mr. Rogers. So not only that, but again, all the people who were attending this, and I'm talking people behind the scenes, people who were in the movies, like the famous people, the VIP A-listers, and all the Bond fans. Bond fans that I've known for years, or just known of for a lot of years. Either we've talked on Facebook, or I'm just a fan of their podcast or the YouTube channel. They were all there too, so it was just, I mean, you could not, and by the way, then when you got to the actual celebration, the big party, they just did everything right. This could not have been planned better, which actually brings me to, let me introduce you to this nice fella. This is Martin Mulder, and Martin is the guy who he set this thing up from scratch. Martin, and again, by the way, let's see. Try not to knock over my glass. Martin is the author of On the Tracks of 007. This is a must-have for anyone who wants to go to visit Bond locations. I have one copy that is nice, still very in good shape. This one happens to be autographed by Martin. My other copy, which is around somewhere, is beat to hell. Every page is folded over or wrinkled or such and such. I've literally taken it around the world with me. If you do not have a copy of this book, get one, and I mean get one now. Like I said, if you're going to do any Bond traveling, and even if you're not, if you're just interested in the locations, the places where they filmed, it is just a super, super read. And again, I always take it with me wherever I go. So, let's see. So again, and by the way, I reached out to Martin a while back. Literally, he did a trip for the 50th of You Only Live Twice, a Japan trip. And I had heard amazing things about this trip. Everyone who I spoke to who went there, they raved about this trip. So I literally reached out to Martin like years ago. I mean, I'd spoken to him before, love your book, and, super, super duper nice. We never actually met in person. And I reached out a while back and I said, hey, by the way, when On Your Majesty's comes around, are you planning to do something? And he said, yeah. So I said, keep me in mind as things start to happen. I said, because I will be on that so fast, whatever. So sure enough, as it started to unfold, I, jumped on it and I said, take my money out. I'm throwing money at him, please, whatever. Because again, this one I was not going to miss. Again, favorite movie of all time, favorite Bond movie. And again, like I said, everything I just said, the planets just aligned for this, and this was something I was not going to miss. And Martin does, I mean, I'm talking just first rate everything. He really does plan everything spectacularly. Nothing is left to chance. I mean, he just does such a great job. So again, I will stop gushing over Martin for just a little bit. And let's see what people are talking about. Bondgasm needs to travel. That's right. Thank you. Ray, start the hashtag on Instagram. There we go. The hashtag Bondgasm. There we go. So jealous seeing all the videos and pictures on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, people, Jeff Weibo, James Bond Canada, was kicking the crap out of me when it came to Instagram. He really kind of pulled out the stops, and again, my brain is sort of elsewhere because I'm taking video, because I know I'm going to do, videos when I get home for YouTube. I like doing the location videos, but Jeff did a great job. He really did. So, hats off to him for that. I mean, he really did a great job. So, but yeah, I mean, if you watched Instagram, if you saw Facebook, I mean, the pictures were popping up all over the place, and it was just spectacular. So let's see. That's my Bible when I travel. Would love to hear about the yummy food and drinks you had, Miss West Seattle. Food and drinks. Well, first of all, the drinks were flowing, um, to the point where, I mean, honestly, literally the day I got there. Let me start. I'll start talking about the trip. The day I got there, I arrived Thursday. You know, the flights to Europe are usually overnight, so I left the evening of Wednesday and landed the crack of dawn Thursday. Yeah, it's Thursday, of course. Um, and I got there nice and early. I arrived at the hotel. Um, let's see. Let's start the fun. All right. Am I losing? I guess I'm losing audio when I switch to the slideshows. That's a little okay. Um, okay. Can I fix that without going a little too crazy? Um, so yeah, the let's see if I can fix that fast. Okay. A question was asked: how much did we engage with George Lazenby? The answer is a lot. Particularly if you did the Portugal part of the trip. Um, Again, this was kind of fun. I landed at the hotel. Let's see if I can pull that back now. Now you should be able to hear me, and I apologize for that. I'm still getting used to this software that I'm using, by the way. This is the lobby of the hotel when you first walked in. This banner was there. Some other stuff was there. Meet James Bond in Portugal. This was like I guess a little advertisement, I suppose, for the autograph session. And this is my hotel room. And by the way, when I walked in, and I know everyone did this. I know everyone did this. You can't tell me that you didn't. Um, when I walked into the room, I said, "This'll do. This'll do me nicely." And I said, "I know I'm a big nerd for doing that, but I'm sure everyone else did this. I wasn't the only guy." Um, but the beautiful part was that, let's see, do I have to scroll through again? Let's go. Boom, boom, boom. The beautiful part, and I don't know if you can tell from this photo, but when you walk out, there is a balcony. Not a ridiculously huge balcony from, like in the movie, of course. In the movie, he's got the master suite, whatever, which they do have, by the way, but I don't think it looks quite like that. Um, but there was a beautiful balcony, and when you walked out, you absolutely positively could see the pool that you see in the film. So this was just off the hook. I mean, it was just insane. Um, so yeah, like I said, you can't make this stuff up. All right, let's come back. So and getting back to, I know I'm going to bounce all over the place, and I apologize for that. I'm going to be kind of all over the world with this one. Did we spend a lot of time with George Lazenby? The morning I got there, again, I got there really early. I was probably in the hotel 7 o'clock in the morning. They had a room ready, so they took care of me nicely. I went up, I kind of unpacked, I took a little nap. About 5 o'clock, I decided, time to go downstairs. I showered, got changed, went downstairs to see who was around. I come downstairs, I walk off the elevator. The first person I see is Anders, who is George Lazenby's representation and a very good friend of mine. and George Lazenby. So I give Anders a big hug. I'm happy to see him, and I shake George's hand. I say, George, good to see you again. He's looking at me like, who is this guy? Am I supposed to remember him? Because I just saw him in October for the in Washington D.C. for the Spy Museum thing, and that was exciting. But here, this was a whole different level. So now, and basically the bottom line is George, pretty much the end of every night, people would end up, because again, we're all staying in the same hotel, so everyone would wind up down in the bar at the end of the night, which was a lot of fun. So I'm kind of answering two questions at once. Did I see George Lazenby a lot? Yes. Was there a lot of drinks going? Yes. But again, it was all in great fun. And, I spent enough time with George to kind of get to know him. I don't really know if he got to know me, but that's quite all right. Yeah, I mean, this is, and George is a great guy, and he's a character, as you can probably guess. I have to wonder how much of these kinds of things. I mean, again, this is not just your average Bond event. This is not go tell your stories and sign some autographs. This is full blown a week. I mean, this is a week of the same people. So again, you're not trying to smother them. You're not trying to, like, oh my God, this is my favorite movie. So we try to play it cool, but, but yes, I mean, we had a lot of exposure to George. So that's that. So how about this? The first day we were there, okay? Those of us who did the VIP tour, it was a little different for us because there were some people who just did the weekends and some people stayed for the entire thing. So the first day we were there, we got to just check out a lot of Portugal. This is a monument that we went to go see, more monuments, and there's Mark Clelland hamming it up for the camera. So again, our first day was spent just doing some general Portugal sightseeing, and it was really terrific. The castle was right on the water, pretty cool stuff. And there's yours truly, and yes, I wore my Being James Bond shirt for the the first day of gallivanting and sightseeing. So the first day of Portugal was a lot of just sort of general Portugal stuff. It was interesting the way that the trip was structured, because it was funny when I first saw like the announcement of the trip. It was essentially like back-to-back weekends. There was an event happening in Portugal the first weekend. Then there were events happening the second weekend in Switzerland. So, of course, I see this and I'm going, all right, well, what do you do for the time in between? Because, again, I'm flying over. I'm not going to fly 4 times for the trip. So I figured, so basically what happened is if you did the whole package, the VIP package, you did the whole first week in Portugal. So we had a nice long vacation. I mean, again, we had the first weekend was like all the Bond stuff, and then we had like a day or two just to chill at the hotel, which was super nice. The spa in this hotel was off the hook. I never saw anything like this. They had a pool with this kind of whirlpool thing that goes around that would just sort of carry you around the whole thing. We hit the sauna to try to sweat out some of the booze we were drinking. So that was super duper nice. But anyway, the moral of the story, which I'm getting back to, is that because we were there for the entire week, we didn't necessarily jump into Bond stuff right away. We kind of just did a little Portugal tour, and then, then we did our Bond stuff. People who only did the weekend, they were kind of scrambling around at all the Bond sites, but we sort of did it at more of a leisurely pace. So what else? And by the way, I meant to start off with this question for you, okay? Again, I went a little crazy learning the graphics for this program, so just deal with it. But here's my question. Where does On Her Majesty's Secret Service rank on your list? Is it one of your favorites? Not so much. Again, you kind of know my answer, but I'm kind of curious to see what you have to say about that. So if you're interested, let me know on this little chat thingy. Did George have some good stories, the Bond experience? Danielle says hi. Hey Danielle, what's going on? How are you? Thank you for putting up with me. More Bond stuff. um, Dean Dunleavy, I kept my distance from George. I heard too many horror stories from people when I was there. Um, any being James Bond activities, Bond Armory? Yes. Dean Dunleavy, really? Um, Dean, that begs more info. Um, okay. George Lazenby. Here's how here's my diplomatic way of put it this way. Again, George, even when he was young, and again, how do I put it? Here's a way I look at it. There's a reason why we all kind of look at politicians as being game show hosts, because it would take somebody with that kind of a personality just to get into politics. George Lazenby was a guy who was not an actor and relied on nothing but balls the size of Gibraltar to walk in and get that part, and just to say that he was an actor when he was. And so George is already well known for having confidence, but there's a little more to it than that. Um, Combine that with the idea that George is now getting a little up in age and he's kind of getting a little cranky. Now, I had no problems with him whatsoever. I do think there was a moment or two where we were all drinking a lot, so there were a couple of scotches getting thrown around. But for the most part, I found him to be, for a guy who has to put up with us for an entire week. Um, Honestly, I would say he did a pretty good job of being a good sport. In fact, there were things that were really sort of above and beyond, I thought, um, that he had to sort of do. Again, it's I think he would have thrown anybody for a curve, put it that way, and I think he was a great sport. Let's see. So what else we got? So not only did I get to meet George, but also, and I'll be brutally honest, I didn't even know who this was when we went, but they were advertising George Lazenby and Terrence Mountain. I did not know who Terry was at the time. I had to look him up. He was one of Draco's goons. But let me just tell you this. He was the I'm not sure if my thing was working, if my audio was working. I apologize if it was not. Um, Terry Mountain played Draco's goon, who um, he's the first one that James Bond fights with on the beach. And I have to tell you, he could not have been a nicer guy. And I mean that sincerely. Let's see if my audio stays with. Sound check, yeah. Check. All right, I think we're good. This is Terrence Mountain, and again, he was the one he's the first one. Don't move, Mr. Bond. Get up. And he's the first guy that Bond fights with. And you see him throughout the film. He's one of Draco's goons. He's there later holding the gun on James Bond when they're leaving the hotel. And also when they do the raid on Piz Glory, he's the one who takes Tracy to safety. Could not have been nicer. This guy walks in, and by the way, I have to show you this one. This is the picture I took with Terry, and then we do this one. He said, again, now how cool is this picture? Our heads got a little cut off, but just who cares? I mean, this is just, I love this picture because, again, he's such a great guy, and we're actually shaking hands in the picture. You can't tell because it's zoomed in. But he kind of grabs me, and he takes one picture, and then he goes, all right, now hang on, take another one, and he puts his fist up, and I'm like, oh, this is great. So I mean, how do you beat that? And again, Terry, he literally walked in the first night. Again, I mentioned like I came downstairs like 5 o'clock, and everybody's gathering at the bar. We're already kind of commiserating, seeing people we haven't seen in years. And then all of a sudden, he walks in and he says, he goes, "All right, I'm buying a beer. Who wants a beer? Anybody need a beer, or whatever?" And I don't even know who he is yet. And he bought us a round of beers, or whatever. And then, as the night was going on, at some point I was sitting next to him and we were talking for a long time, just talking. He was telling me about he got an operation, or he has to get an operation, and just life, like life stuff. And then I realized, oh, this is Terry Mountain. He's the other celebrity that's here. So wow, was he nice? Just could not have been nicer. So again, I mean, I just could not. I can't tell you enough good things about him. He's just such a nice guy. And seriously, the first night we're talking, he I introduced myself. He knows my name. So the rest of the week, Joe, how was the day? Joe, what did you guys do today? Joe, how are you doing? He always knew my name. And so I mean, again, I just could not have been a nicer guy. And boom, there's the man himself, right? That was the same night, and I'm getting photobombed by Mark Clellan again. And again, so we're having a great time. And at this point, again, like I said, now George is sort of in and out most of the time. A lot of nights he's had enough. He goes to bed. This was a dinner that we all had, and by the end of the night, he just sort of gravitated towards our table, and we were sort of like the backmost table. So he came by, he sat down, he starts bullshitting, and he's, again, and he's got, and again, if you know George Lazenby, I mean, if you're watching this, you've probably seen his documentary, you know the ins and outs of Lazenby's story. So sometimes he'll start throwing out stories and the stuff you've already heard, but you smile and you laugh, Again, we're always laughing like just a little too hard at George's jokes, but again, he was very, very nice, very cordial, and he was just a regular guy. Like, if he likes you and he wants to sit and have a beer and BS for a while, I mean, that's him. So again, what a great, and again, this is the beginning. This is just the beginning of the whole thing. So creepy photo bomb, Josiah Luck. How old is Lazenby? No, he said he will be turning 80 this year. So he's 79, and he said he was a couple months shy from turning 80. So God bless. I mean, that's for a guy who's almost 80 years old, and he's up and around. Maybe I shouldn't say it like that, but just together with it, engaging. I mean, we really, really just. Lloyd Nance met Terry, one of JBR meetups. He told us some of the best stories. Again, super good guy. Josiah, like, Terry is a great guy. Like hanging out with him like a friend you haven't seen in years. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's honestly, that was sort of, he came, and is George Lazenby smiling? Yes, he actually smiled a little bit during the picture. I got a better one later too. But yeah, Terry, seriously, I mean, he acted like an old friend. I mean, by the end of the night, I hugged him goodbye, and he probably looked at me like, what's this guy's problem? Because I kind of was like, this is a little too much. But honestly, I spent the whole week with him, and we really got to know each other. It was really great. Right. Laughing a little too loud never hurt anyone. That's exactly right. Let's see. So what else we got? So the next day, which would be, I guess we're up to about Sunday, this was another nice surprise. One of the fellas on the trip decided to get married during the event. And this was pretty cool. Again, I mean, not for nothing, but the film itself, of course, has a wedding in it, so it was very appropriate. But seriously, you're looking to get married. What better place to do it than the Palazzo Hotel from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, with James Bond himself there. Now, again, I will just say this. Sometimes don't meet your heroes. But having said that, I mean, this guy will always be able to say that he had a wedding at the Palazzo Hotel from On Her Majesty's with George there. Did you meet any of the Bond girls? Lloyd Nance, absolutely. Echo. Am I echoing? I hope not. So, do we meet the Bond girls? Yes, we met a lot of Bond girls at later, but I'll get to that. So here you go. That's this is the couple, a very very lovely couple. His name is Bjorn, and I met him in Washington D.C. last October. Again, with Lazenby at the event at the Spy Museum, and his bride is named Mimi, who is absolutely delightful. Could not have been nicer. Bud West, no way would my wife have gone for that. Yeah, I don't know that a lot of wives would necessarily, but again, but one of the great things about James Bond, again, we go to great places, we dress up, we have great food. I mean, you can't beat it. So. Another photo from the wedding. The wedding was outdoors. I got wicked sunburn, but that's quite all right. And there they are again. And again, just a great idea. Oh, by the way, and the reception was terrific. The reception was great. They brought a band over. Now, again, the couple is from Sweden, so they literally flew in this band to play at their reception, and it was very smart the way they did it. It was an outdoor wedding, and everyone on the trip was invited, so it was a whole big event. Then the bride and groom, their family was there, so they did a nice quiet little dinner, just the family, and then we all got together for this reception afterwards, and the band was terrific. They flew this band in, and they sang a whole bunch of James Bond cover songs, which are great. And then they just did a lot of traditional sort of wedding fare. And, I guess because they're Swedish, they ended up with like a whole string of ABBA. So if you're into ABBA, this was for you. Did George Lazenby marry them? No, he did not. But he was in attendance. I guess he was sitting in the front row. So no, he didn't. They had a regular reverend who married them. So it was kind of, normal. It was a normal wedding. George was just there. So, but again, it was a really nice treat for. I mean, again, if you're a Bond fan, I mean, you can't get much better than this. So they really did a nice job. So let's see. Let me see. Now let's get into some Bond locations. Okay, and I'm gonna make sure that my audio will work before I start getting into the slides. Like I said, this software that you see that I'm using, I'm still this is the first time I tried this out, and to be honest with you, I was terrified. I said, something's going to go haywire, but it seems to be working. So, finally now we are into our Bond locations. And one of the first ones we go to is Ginjo Beach. Oh boy. Okay, I think we're good. Ginjo Beach, and this is the beach where, again, the opening shots from Honor Majesties were filmed. Echo on the chat screen. I'll tell you what, I'm going to fix that right now. Let's see if I can fix that. Check. I think, alright, I think I fixed it. Like I said, bear with me, and I'm sorry. Alright, Ginjo Beach. Here we go. Ginjo Beach, and let's go. There it is. That is the beach. That is the beach where they filmed the opening fight scene. And it was, oh my God, well, first of all, I should tell you this. What happens when you go to the insert view? All right. Thank you, guys. And again, bear with me. Thank you. So the beach was great. It was gorgeous, as you can see. I mean, this was just incredible. The waves were off the hook, okay? And the wind this was the only downside. The wind was whipping, and I mean whipping. Again, credit to George Lazenby, credit to Terry Mountain. They were good sports, but all of us, I mean, the wind, when I say, I mean, this wind was just crazy. And this was rough because, again, the day before, I was sitting outside in the blistering sun for the wedding, and I didn't think to put any sunscreen on. And so I was burnt to a crisp, to the point where, like, I said, this is all gonna, not only is it gonna be, it's gonna peel, it'll be gone before I get to Switzerland. So, but again, we got down to the beach, and the guys, again, to their credit, again, this is just a spectacular looking beach. It really was amazing. Now, boom, there's the scene with Terry and George. That is Terrence Mountain right there. So what does Martin do? Martin says, "Hey fellas," and I'm sure you've seen this on Facebook already, but I have to tell you, when we were there doing this, this was just a trip. He says, "Hey fellas, do the same scene again," and here's George again being a good sport, just recreate the scene, and it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun watching them do that. And again, I wish the weather, it's funny because in the pictures, like, you would never know that the weather was anything except spectacular, but the wind was whipping around like crazy. So just the fact that these guys even did this, even went down there, oh my god, you can see the Alan Hilburn, you can see the wind blowing the top off the Whitecaps. Yes, exactly. Yeah, Josiah, the wind whipped up the sand so much it felt like you were being sandblasted. Yeah, exactly. And seriously, I got this wicked sunburn on my forehead, and now the sand is blasting my head. So it's just ouch. Bud West, did the tires squeal as you drove in the sand? No. Nope, not quite. Did you break in your all of our brown trunks? I did, Bond Armory. Not here, but I'll show you what I did do in a little bit. I did wear the trunks. I wore them just in the pool at the hotel, and they worked fine. And I have to say this, as much as I was paranoid, because again, those trunks don't have a lot of elastic, I was pretty paranoid that they were gonna fall off, frankly. But they stayed put, actually. So it worked out. So, all right. Anyway, so there's George and Terry. And, oh, by the way, yes, like a knucklehead, yours truly decides, well, what would being James Bond do at a time like this? Well, I wore my tuxedo shirt. Now, it's not the Oliver Brown shirt. I had this kind of already. So I specifically wore this. Again, it's a casual tux shirt made to wear outdoors, just like this. And I knew we were going to the beach that day, so I wore it, and I felt like, I figured, well, this is appropriate. And then when we were there, I'm looking at the water, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I kind of got to do it. So yours truly went into the water with all my clothes on and my tux shirt, and it was cold, like super cold. But luckily, again, because the wind was so wicked, I kind of, for the most part, dried off pretty quickly. I knew I wasn't going to be dry, but again, the wind whipped up so bad that it kind of dried me off pretty fast. So again, this was my being James Bond moment. I got to do what Bond does. And there's me walking out. Oh, and by the way, I never took my feet off the ground. Like, I didn't actually swim, but I went in, I got underwater, I got wet, and I could say I was in the water, but honestly, the undertow was wicked. I never really felt like a really strong undertow like this. And honestly, I said to myself, if I just swim, I might have a lot of trouble coming back. So I just went in, dunked my head in, and that was it. And there I am afterwards. There I am at the top of the beach, and trying to look cool in my tux shirt, all soaking wet. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was it was so much fun. Again, I was able to say, yes, I went in that water on that beach, etc., etc. So yeah, so that was a lot of fun. It was a great day. Again, Terry could not have been more fun. George was a good sport, so we had a lot of fun with that. And by the way, here's my other question for you. Again, like I said, took advantage of this software. But how would you rate George Lazenby's performance as James Bond? Do you think George Lazenby makes a good James Bond? Are you one of those that says, I wish Connery did On Her Majesty's? I won't taint it by telling you my answer, but feel free to comment if you think, was George good? Was he not good? I will say this. I mean, you could say a lot about George, but he is certainly a unique individual. You know, he brings something to the. I believe he brings something to the role that not every actor has. So I'll just leave it at that, and you can talk amongst yourselves. Okay, and then I'll move on. And I think I got my audio tweaked. Mark Clellan, the best. Love it. Bud West, top notch. Let's see. Let's bring the chat back up. Thanks for risking your life so we could see this moment. You're welcome to Bond Experience. Alan Hilbert, being James Bond. Love it. 5 out of 10 from the Bond Experience for George. Bud West, in my opinion, he have preserved the franchise. That is also a great point. Greatest one-hit wonder of all time, George Lazenby. Kyle, that's a great point. I wish he did more. Dean, I agree with that. If he was bad, the role may have died when Connery was done. Very true, Bud West. Very, very true. Alan Hilburn, liked his performance. Wish he had done more so he could have developed in the role. Excellent point. I really do wish he did. I would have liked him to do at least 3, because I feel like, honestly, even the best Bonds, it takes them 3 times just to get it right, frankly. Hey, there's an idea. Maybe Dave Zritsky and I should review the 3rd Bond films. Just a thought. George is good, Matthew. Psylocke, for someone who is not an actor, he did a great job. There you go. Exactly. For a guy who's not even an actor, you got to give it to him in that respect. All right. So, okay. So we did the beach. There was other Portugal locations to be seen. Hey, I don't know if you can tell. You probably can't tell from that picture, but the reason why I took that specific picture, when George Lazenby was filming in this location, that was a promo shot that he did. Where is? But what that location is the light is gonna mangle that. But if you recognize this location, some of the montage was filmed here. The montage of George and Tracy. And it was a great little spot. So we got to visit this location. This was one of the spots in it. Now, this one, you could probably tell, that is the jewelry store where Bond picks out Tracy's ring. You can see Bond and Tracy window shopping in this shot. They took us to this location, and there it is right there. It's hard taking pictures of these. When we all pile in, everyone is just sort of all over the place. So I kind of waited till people were kind of scattered a little bit to take this shot. But boy, they could not have been nicer. The people here in this jewelry store, they knew we were coming. Again, Martin doesn't do anything half-assed. They brought us in. They had bottles of port wine ready for us. They had shot glasses on the table that made a little 007. And they could not have been more cordial. They were super duper nice. So that was a really nice treat for us. So let's get back to, let's see. And there's yours truly with my mildly sunburned forehead, doing my best to look handsome. So that was another great one. Let's see. Okay. Let me fix the audio. No. Okay, 1 second. Just tweaking my audio again for the next bunch. So, there we go. Yeah, I think I guess there's a little echo that kicks up when I'm sort of transitioning between. Sorry about that. Matthew, he to me is probably the most like 007. The man has major cojones. That's for damn sure. So, this shot, I'm sure you can tell, this is Tracy arriving at the home, the estate of Mark Anstraco. She's headed to the bull ring. They took us to the estate where they filmed pretty much all of this, and it was pretty amazing. So there's the shot right there, and there's the real thing. There's Martin himself holding, and again, Martin is so prepared. Look how prepared he is. He had really nice still shots prepared from the films on these cards that were just really nice. And he's standing on the road that Tracy is driving down in the Cougar. Again, there's the road, and you can see the house, you can see the roof, you can see the trim on the house and where the hedges are, and there you go. There's the same roof, the trim, tiny little bit different. But again, it was, and again, how old is this film? 50 years later, and it still looked very similar to the way it did. Okay, and there we go. There's the bull ring. The bull ring is on this estate. Again, it took a little, it's a very big property. I mean, a huge property. So you had to walk a little ways to get to this, but there was the bull ring where they filmed that scene. Tracy walks up those steps, and there's the bull ring itself. And again, it was exactly like it was in the film, so it was pretty cool. And there's George, and that smile is genuine. The smile that George has, I mean, that's as close to a full-blown smile as you're gonna get. But he was in good spirits, by the way. I mean, he I think by the time we were here, by the time we got to the bull ring, when George came and Terry was there as well, a lot of pictures, and I think for again, a lot of it probably is a bit much for him. And again, the guy's just a few months shy of 80 years old. So, and we're schlepping him all over the world, telling him, "Okay, do what you did in this movie." And he's a good sport for the most part. He was. I think he was genuinely enjoying this. I think he was genuinely enjoying a little walk down memory lane, revisiting some of these locations and kind of being just a little nostalgic. So he was very approachable, and it was a good time to say, "Hey, George, how about a photo?" So again, he was really nice. So of course, the next stop, that's the road. This was taken on the road where the drive-by happens. The final shot in the film after the wedding. And by the way, the estate where we were is exactly where they shot the wedding. The wedding stuff was all taken there too. So this was the road afterwards. It's a bit of a drive from the estate. It's not right around the corner as the movie might suggest, but movie magic and all that. But the view, I don't have to tell you, was absolutely spectacular. I wish I had better pictures. Honestly, again, my brain was so focused on shooting videos that I didn't bother taking snapshots per se of the views and the angles and things, which again, everybody was doing and I was doing when I was shooting video. So I just grabbed a couple snapshots here and there, just to sort of say I was here, and this is one of them. Again, this is the road. Nice sunburn, Josiah said. Yep. Seriously, look at my forehead. It's going to peel like any second if it's not already. So, there we go. So there is that was the Portugal, the rest of Portugal. And again, just so cool. I mean, it was it's pretty much all of the places that I wanted to see from the film. If we missed anything, I can't think of anything. I literally feel like, it's funny too, because I will be in London soon. Once I get a little video of the College of Arms, I feel like I've probably seen every single solitary location that exists from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I think they really took us everywhere. I mean, again, Martin did spectacular. He really did a great job putting this trip together. I can't hand it to him enough, frankly. Um, so that's the Portugal part. That's the Portugal part of the trip. So what? By the way, this is the booklet. Again, you would think that a company like a travel agency would have put a trip like this together. The fact that one guy did this, it really is kind of mind-boggling. This is a booklet that he put together to go with the trip, and seriously, it's off the hook. I mean, like it's hard to. I mean, he made a whole full-blown magazine basically, which I'm sure, by the way, will probably, if I had to take a guess, it will blossom from here and end up being something that you can purchase. I know he put something together for the Japan trip. It's like the James Bond Japan location. So anybody who wants, by the way, that's, where am I? That's Terrence Mountain right there, who we were talking about. I got the picture with. So yeah, I mean, so seriously, this was just, we all got copies of these from the trip. Martin put this together. It's again just the consummate professional, and he really deserves just so much credit. So kabam! Now we're gonna go to the Switzerland portion of this presentation. So again, like I said, hashtag Bondgasm. Just this part, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just whip out some pictures and we can discuss. Or I could fix my audio before I do that, which I should know by now. Check. And kablam. So we get to Switzerland. Again, we were in Portugal for several days. We were in Portugal for several days. Then the following Thursday was when we all got on to a plane and took the whole party over to Switzerland. These are two buses that they took us to travel to our destinations with. There were two buses. So there is the bunch of us. There's just half of the crew on this bus, and of course the other half is on the other bus. So you can get a sense of the size of the group. Front left, that's our lovely couple, our lovely newlyweds. There's Tim behind him, another cool guy. Met him. He was from Australia. You can see me with my arms up, way in the back, acting like a knucklehead, and my partner in crime, Josiah, is back there. The Skillmans are back there on the right. And there's Behar, front right. And he was somebody who I met for the first time on this trip, and he was always good for a laugh. He was a very cool, very nice guy. So the Hotel Schweizerhof. What is significant about this hotel? Well, first of all, it's a really nice hotel. The rooms were just super nice. The bathrooms were incredible. And why does one of the rooms have this plate on the outside? Well, boom! Does that look familiar? This is the hotel, and that's the room and the balcony where Bond. This is Gumbald's office in Bern, and by the way, we are in the city of Bern. So again, what's really nice is that they're using real locations. They're not making up fictional towns. They're not telling you it's here when it's really someplace else. We were actually in Bern, and this is the balcony is portraying am I using the word right? This is the balcony of the office that would have been Goombald's office. So Bond, the crane comes up, gives him the futuristic photocopy machine that he brings inside to make his photostat copies of Goombald's documents. So yes, this was the actual balcony, and it was really cool. And there's me, just in case you want to see my hands and face bigger. Again, what's cool? They had you could look and you could see the building across the way. Would have been under construction at that time. You could see there's a clock that you can see in the distance that the film keeps referring to. And no, I didn't steal his Playboy. I've got two of my own. Lloyd Nance, Goomball's office. Hope you didn't steal his Playboy. But did you steal the centerfold, Bud West? No, I actually have two copies of that Playboy around here someplace. And one of them is actually signed by George, which he did this many years ago. The first time I ever met Lazenby was at a signing way back when at a Chiller convention. And just coincidentally, somebody was actually selling vintage Playboy, so I bought one. And I brought one over to George and had him sign. Of course, he's going, why am I signing this? And I was not the only one, by the way. At these autograph signings that happened in Switzerland, I did see people with that Playboy that George signed for people. Now, speaking of Goombald's office, this is the doorway. Now, the doorway was like just a block down, interestingly. So, the balcony was in one spot, but the actual entrance to the building was a block away. Again, movie magic at its best. And, of course, what does Martin do? He gets the good idea to make a sign and put it there. And he even did it in a way that it fit perfectly. So he slapped this sign up right where it would have been, and it just looked great. And there's yours truly posing in front of the doorway where Goombald comes out, and you see the sign, etc., etc. So this was fun. So this is, again, another great location. And James Bond Canada. He grabbed a picture, and he put it on Instagram, so I had to grab a copy of that. So, now this day, by the way, was just sort of getting started. Now this should look familiar. Kind of amazing the size of this location when all they really needed was the door to park the Cougar. This was the location where Tracy's Cougar, where the snow starts, they just escaped from Piz Gloria. They escape the goons, and the snow is getting really bad, so Bond and Tracy look for a place to stop, and they find this barn. Bond opens the doors, and they park inside. And, of course, the rest is movie magic, I think. The rest is done in the set. But this was the actual location that they used. And, again, I have to just tell you, the people here were tremendous. The people who own I'm not sure if they were the ones who owned the barn. First of all, we get there, and they had a nice spread waiting for us as well there. They had, they sold cheese, so they had different cheeses that were all cut up, meats, cold cut dried meats. This was sort of a Switzerland staple. Every place I went to was dried meats and cheeses. But they had a really nice spread waiting for us. I don't think it was champagne. I think it was like a sparkling cider that they had. Just super nice folks. As we're sitting there, and again, you can see the Cougar in the picture, but the Cougar wasn't there when we got there. As we're standing there, the Cougar comes up the road. Hang on a second. Let me pull this back up. So the Cougar comes up the road, down the long driveway, down the long path you can see kind of going across the front of the screen, and the Cougar pulls in the driveway. A guy gets out of the car dressed exactly how James Bond was dressed in that scene. He opens the door. The Cougar goes in. She gets out. She's dressed up like Tracy. Oh my God, it was great. So I mean, so everyone really did sort of go over the top, you know, with playing their parts, and it was really cool. And the Cougar, by the way, is a spot on replica. Same make and model. It's done to look exactly like the one. It had the ski rack on it. I mean, it's really great. Um, there I am. Actually, no. This one did not have a. I take it back. This did not have a ski rack. I'm thinking of another car, which I'll tell you about shortly. Um, but there's yours truly in the barn with the car. So cool. You cannot have beat this. Another shot. Um, really, really sweet. Now this one, this was another car that showed up. The owner of this car, Gernot Wolf, another super nice guy. Knew him again. We're Facebook friends for years. Never actually met, so we got to meet and hang out. This was his car, and again another spot on replica of the Bond car from The Spy Who Loved Me, obviously. Just really cool. He had the hood was autographed, had several autographs on it. There's Roger Moore, obviously. So boy, was this really cool. So we had two great Bond cars at this location. I mean, how cool is this thing? And of course, he couldn't have been nicer. He let everybody sit in it, take pictures. And again, I say this all the time, but it's the fans. It's meeting different people that makes it so cool. So. That is Paul Scrabo. Paul Scrabo, he has a site, or excuse me, he has a YouTube page called Bond Memories. You should look that up. If you're, again, we probably all sort of feel that all of the Bond gatherings and stuff all happened recently, but they've been happening for years. The Bond, the old guard, I don't know if that's a polite word, but Paul has been going to Bond gatherings for many years. He's taken a lot of video. So look on YouTube for Bond Memories, and you'll see a lot of Paul's videos from a lot of gatherings from way back when. Very cool stuff. I met Paul a few years ago. Luckily, he's actually in my general area. So there was a screening of You Only Live Twice up in Suffern, New York. Again, probably going back about 5 years, maybe 5-6 years. And we met there. And again, very nice guy. His wife is also a big Bond fan. So, let's see. And there is Gernot Wolf. Again, this is his car. Very nice guy. It was very cool to finally meet. And again, this car is just off the hook, as you can imagine. This is a copy of, that is the actual contract that was made with the owners of the barn that they kept. You can see Eon Productions right across the top. How cool. So, let's see. But that was really nice. Let's see. Is the chat still working? Everybody got a little quiet. Just a little nervous. Hope everybody's still around. Let's see. And boom, look at that. So, another cool thing, we took, once we left the barn, hey, Wybo, what's up, buddy? We were just talking about you, and I swear it was mostly good. This was a shot that was taken as we were driving. Again, we're in the two buses. We're driving across Switzerland to get to our location. The Cougar and the Lotus is following us, right? Now, how cool is that? So I was taking video off the back of the bus. We were in the far back, as you can tell from the picture. At one point, both of them kind of whiz past. They speed up and pass the buses. I got video of that happening. It was really cool. So, and then we parked. We parked at a pretty cool spot. And again, we were all taking pictures of the... Oh, and by the way, the place... I forgot to even mention this. The place where the car is parked is the ice rink from Honor Majesty's Secret Service. So, how cool is that? I mean, again, it's the middle of the summer. There's no ice anywhere, but this was the location where they shot that, and you can see some of the buildings from the background, etc. So this was really cool. And then, by the way, now we're in Murin. We finally get to our location. We're in Murin, and this is the view from the back of the hotel. I don't even know if the pictures do it justice, but This was incredible. Again, that's my bunkie. That's Josiah taking photos from the back deck of the hotel. It was off the hook. Mirren is an incredible location because you literally need to take a cable car just to get to this town. You cannot get here. You can't drive here. You have to take a cable car because it is literally up in the Alps. So the location here was amazing. Excuse me while I fill my glass really quick. But I mean, this should really give you a sense of what it was like to be staying in Mirren for this part of the trip. Good place for dinner, Weibo, absolutely. So I think that's it for that. So, yeah, Clellan had to say it. What a view to a kill. So, yeah, I mean, this was just off the hook. And drinks, by the way. Great place for dinner and drinks. Drinking a Guinness. What is everyone else drinking? Lloyd, I am treating myself to a Chardonnay tonight. I had a steak before. I knew I was doing a thing tonight, so I made myself a nice dinner, had a steak, and this is my wine to go with it. All right, again, since I'm using this new software to make my presentation so fancy, boom, here's another question. What is your favorite scene or location from On Her Majesty's Secret Service? Is there a specific spot that you really like or a specific scene that you think is really cool? Just throwing it out there. So, with that, and again, am I kind of doing that to lead into my next slide? Kind of. So, the morning, again, the first night we were there, it was a big day, a lot of traveling, we get settled. The next morning, we decide, let me fix my audio real fast. A couple people in our group had the good sense to say, you know what, why don't we hit Piz Gloria before the crowds do? So we got up nice and early and went up so we could take a few pictures before the big crowds and the big hysterics go on. So there we go. There is yours truly at Piz Gloria. Lloyd Nance, Piz Gloria, hands down, of course. Neil Martin, what's up, buddy? Great pictures, takes me back. Fantastic weekend. Piz Gloria, again, hands down, spectacular. It's got to be... There are only a few locations that I can really think of that I think are so quintessential to James Bond. And I'm talking about like real life locations that you could visit at any time. I mean, I can't think of any that would outdo Piz Gloria in terms of just being iconic. Not only is it an iconic location. I mean, and there are some, but this one is sort of like the best of all worlds, where it's an iconic location. The part of the world where it sits, you know, again, not being... If this was not a Bond location, it would be an incredible place to visit, okay? But the fact that it is such an iconic Bond location adds to it. And the fact that it's actually not only accessible to the public, but embraced by the people there as a Bond location. I mean, they love the fact that it's a Bond location. So, I mean, it just sort of makes it... like I said, it has to be the best Bond location ever, I think. So now this is in Interlaken, if I remember right. Please tell me you did the sliding pose. Oh, I did. Actually, Bond Armory, no, I didn't do that. I didn't think of it, actually, but that's a great... I should have done that. I did throw the curling... They did have a curling rink set up for... Let me go back. You can see there on the right side, it's like blocked off, but they had set up an actual curling... where you can throw the big weights. I don't know what you call that stuff. But they had it set up, and by the time we got back for the big celebration, they had it. It was all unblocked, and then you could throw it if you wanted to. So I did. So let's see. Now this is back down in Interlaken, and this is the train station where Bond arrives. When Bond arrives by train and he's met by Irma Bunt, that is the location there. This one is another spot in Interlaken. It's, I don't know if you could tell right away, but that is where there was a phone booth. I don't know if it was a phone booth there in real life or if the, if the movie magicians put it there. But that is where the phone booth is that James Bond gets shot at, and he runs down to the right, and Tracy jumps in Tracy's car, etc. So this was really cool. Joe Silag, we had amazing weather for this trip. 2 days earlier, Piz Gloria was covered under dense fog, and it was sleeting. So true. Honestly, I have to tell you, like, that is so true. The weather, I don't, I mean, again, I live in New Jersey, in northern New Jersey. I can't remember the last time I had 10 days in a row of really nice weather at any time. But on this trip, literally from the day we landed in Portugal till the day I got home, the weather was always perfect. I literally did not see a cloud in the sky the entire time we were in Portugal. And in Switzerland, when we got there, again, they had told us that for months, I think, at least weeks, the weather was awful, just awful. And the one time I was in Piz Gloria before, like years ago, it was totally overcast and foggy. You couldn't see anything. But this time, it was stellar. I mean, the weather was absolutely perfect, and we totally lucked out. Again, this is the weather the morning we got there. You can't beat that. The views were amazing, and we really did just sort of luck out. So again, we kind of did a little sightseeing down in the town of Interlaken. Hey, and there's James Bond Canada. What's up, James Bond Canada? Very cool to get to hang out with Jeff. Again, we don't live close by, so it's nice to spend some time together. And here we go. By the way, they had set up in a garage. Now the garage was located next to the field where the stock car race was done. And again, this is a Bond trip. They pulled out all the stops. Then they had Bond cars there. You can see the Lotus to the right. There's the DB5, right? There's the DB5. I can't remember whose this was, but it was a great DB5. Totally tricked out to look like, again, it was matched up. Lauterbrunnen, excuse me. Thank you, Mark. I'm in Lauterbrunnen, not Interlaken, is where those pictures were. So, and then you had Hansi brought there's a fella named Hansi who I know now from a couple trips, and he was on this trip. He brought his other Lotus. Hansi has a Lotus just like the white one that you see on the right, and then he decided I should have the red one as well from For Your Eyes Only. So you can see on the left of my lovely mug, you can see the top of the Lotus, and you can see the skis on the top. He even put the ski rack on top, so it looks exactly like you see in the film. So these three cars were there, plus the Cougar. That was really cool. So again, this whole trip is just top notch. They anything they could have done to make this trip better, they did. So there you go. And again, we're not even close yet. well, I shouldn't say that. We are close to the big finale of the trip. But again, I told you, seriously, I said this was going to be a lot of gushing, borderlining on bragging. I can't say bragging because all I did was be there. I didn't, again, all of the creativity that went into this trip, it was just one thing after another. There was not a day that went past where you didn't have some pleasant surprise. Something happened that just surpassed your expectations by a long shot. So I mean, it was just absolutely incredible. And this was not an easy trip. I don't have to tell you that this was not an easy trip to do. But honestly, I feel like I knew all along. I said, if I don't do this, I'm going to be kicking myself later. So I just said, the hell with it. I have to do that. That DB5 was something like 14 million plus 600,000 for restoration. That is absolutely correct. Okay. So now, again, I've already done a week in Portugal, seeing every Bond site I can think of. I'm in Switzerland. The views are already incredible. I've been to Piz Gloria, a whole bunch of locations down in Lauterbrunnen. Thank you, Mark. But it goes on. Okay. This is the party. This is the party at Piz Gloria. This is the official Honor Majesty Secret Service 50th anniversary celebration. I don't know why this picture is a little cockeyed, but by the way, if you're on Instagram, which I'm sure you are, property of a Bond fan, definitely check out his page. Really cool stuff, and a super, super nice guy. I wish I had a picture with him that I could put into this presentation, but I didn't. But he was a super nice guy. At one point, I happened to be by his table, and he said, would you mind taking a picture of our table? And this is the smart assery that ensued. But there you go. Now, how cool... Now, inside Biz Gloria, they've got a whole bunch of really cool setups, reenacting scenes, etc. This is Nathan Sears reenacting the bobsled. Jeff Weibo, the party will never be replicated ever again. That is absolutely, positively true. This was a little feature where you could sit in the bobsled, and they sort of put like a movie in front of you, and they would put a movie behind you. It was really pretty fun. And there's yours truly. There is yours truly. Let's see. Sitting, or I'm standing. Let's see if I can fix that picture real fast. Not sure why that looks all gigantic. But there's yours truly standing out. I believe we're still in Berg. We have not actually gone up to Piz Gloria yet. Let's see if I can fix that. There's a little better. So we're on our way up to Piz Gloria, and when you go to Piz Gloria, there's actually and this is from Murin. If you're going from from scratch, like if you're down below at the train station, you're taking at least I believe you're taking 3 cable cars to get up to Piz Gloria. So the first cable car will take you to Murin, then the second one will take you to a spot. It's just basically a cable car spot, but it has a really big patio area, so you can stop, take the view is incredible. So we're in Berg at this point, and this is the day going. I should probably have explained this, but this is the trip up to Piz Gloria for the big party. So we stop in Berg, and they already have a reception there, which was really, really nice. Let's see. All right, why am I stuck? And there's yours truly mugging with George Lazenby down in Berg. And again, I mean, like, seriously, if you didn't know better, you would swear this was like a photoshopped photo, because the location here is that incredible. Josiah, like 4 cable cars from the bottom. You're absolutely correct. Look at this picture. I mean, this looks like it was photoshopped. Between the pink carpet on the floor and just the incredible mountains and the clouds behind. I mean, this was crazy. Let's see what else. Me again, trying to look handsome. And that is me and Luc Declesh. That is Luc Declesh, who is the president of the French James Bond fan club, if I remember correctly. I know he's French. I know I don't if it's the French James Bond fan club or if it's called something different. but that is Luke DeClash, and he's been the president of that organization for many, many years. So I've known his name forever. So it was actually pretty cool to actually meet him for the first time. Very nice guy, very personable. And hey, and there's Tom from James Bond Radio. Didn't really get to hang out with the James Bond Radio crew as much as I would have liked. I know they not only were they, I mean, obviously just busy, and I think they actually did. They sort of did their own tour that happened sort of at the conclusion of this event. So basically, like if you went to Switzerland for just the weekend, you could have stayed longer and hang out with the JBR crew, and they would have done more location spotting. I believe they did like the Furka Pass from Goldfinger, so they really did. They did their own tour after this. Heard good things about it. Again, I'm already going on 10 days, so I couldn't extend it longer. I would have liked to. But again, very nice guys. Tom, this is the first time I'm meeting Tom, was at this event. Chris, I had met like the night before in the bar. Basically, all the celebrities stayed in this one hotel, the Hotel Eiger in Murin. So at the end of every night, people tended to gravitate down to the bar in the hotel. So I got to meet Chris a little bit. Again, didn't really get a chance to talk for too long. It was actually really packed. It was crowded. But again, very, very nice guys, very cool. So I hope to see them again soon. This is Jenny Hanley, and Jenny Hanley is the Irish Bond girl. She was of the Angels of Death and Piz Gloria. She was the Irish girl. And it was, again, she was super sweet. Could not have been nicer. This is the actual dinner. Or right after the dinner. You can see I'm already I already lost the jacket because it was getting warm. But this was the dinner part at Piz Gloria, and again, this was really cool. This was this is where all the VIPs, all the actresses, some of the actors from the film. John Glenn was there, the director. Steven Saltzman was there, the son of Harry Saltzman, obviously. A lot of famous faces were there. And they sort of sprinkled them throughout the different VIP tables. And of course, again, because I was part of the crew that had done the whole trip, we were considered VIPs. Check us out. So they sprinkled some of the celebrities around, and Jenny was sitting at our table. Could not have been nicer. Very warm, very friendly. Had to get a picture with her. Super nice. And of course, there's Terry again. Again, the last night I had to take a picture with Terry because he couldn't have been nicer. Two favorite podcasts in one photo. Thank you, Bon Armory. JBR, awesome. So again, I had to have one last photo with Terry because it was the last night, the big celebration. And again, very friendly, very nice. I could not have been. He was the kind of guy I can literally say, like, I was very happy to have known him. I was very happy to have met him. He was that nice and that personable. So that was really cool. I had to get one last picture with him. Here's a bunch of us playing. They had card tables. They had roulette. They had blackjack set up for this big party. So again, I can't not be at a Bond event in Piz Gloria and not play some blackjack. So this was cool. Jeff Wybo, Vic Armstrong. Yes, Vic Armstrong was there too, the stuntman. I really wish I got an autograph from him. I didn't. I'll talk about that later. So anyway, we played blackjack. It was a lot of fun. Anders, I always mess up his last name, which is embarrassing because, again, I'm very good friends with Anders. Anders Freed. He runs the website for many, many years, From Sweden with Love. A website you definitely want to check out. He's always got good news stories, and he keeps it very up to date. And he is very in touch with a lot of Bond celebrities, specifically the celebrities that hail from his part of the world. There are a lot of Bond girls who are from Sweden that you might not even be aware of. And he has gotten very close with many of them, which is very cool. And by the way, that I believe that's how he basically come to represent many of these celebrities, and I think that's how he become George Lazenby's representation. So Anders represents, he's basically George Lazenby's handler. So Anders, and again, Anders and I have been friends for it's got to be 10 years now. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember when we first met, but I know it was before Quantum. So yeah, it's well over. It's actually about 12 years now. Been very good friends ever since, and so it's always exciting to be able to see him and catch up. He was very busy on this trip. Again, he's George Lazenby's right hand man. George is there for the entire thing, but we did get a lot of good nights in the bars to to hang out and everything. So it was really great to be able to spend time with Anders again. This is Steven Saltzman. Now, by the way, before I have anybody tell me that, yes, it's time to get back on the hashtag Bond25 fitness challenge, when Steven Saltzman is in better shape than you are, that tells me something. Yes, I get it. So I don't want to hear about it. But Steven Saltzman, again, it was funny because when I saw him at the event, I didn't know, it wasn't like people walked around with like a big crown or a big pin that says I'm a celebrity. They just kind of mingled with everyone else. And when I saw Steven, I'm going, who is that guy? I know him from someplace. And I remembered it was from one of the documentaries. I think for the Bond 50th, they did the big Bond documentary. I think it was the Everything or Nothing documentary. And I remember he was interviewed in it. So when I saw him, I kind of was like, where do I know that guy from? And then I realized who it was. And he was really nice. I shouldn't say it surprised me, but it did. He was very personable. At one point, I went outside. Again, you could go out to the terrace where the helipad is. And so anytime it was getting hot, again, the room was very warm. It was crowded with people. So once it got hot, you just went outside and got a little air. And at one point, he was standing out there. He's talking to some people, and I just joined in. And he took out his cell phone. He started showing us pictures, like behind-the-scenes photos from several of the films. But the one that he kind of showed us the most was Live and Let Die. He had pictures of Jane Seymour, all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff. So it was really cool. Jeff Weibo, Anders I'm pronouncing Anders' name wrong. It's Anders Freed, not Freed. So I'm sorry, Anders. Seriously, I'm embarrassed that but again, I never think to say his name out loud, so it just never occurred to me. So anyway, Steven Saltzman was very oddly personable. Like the last night I was saying goodbye to him, it was really cool. This guy here, this is George Lazenby's, I don't want to say his bodyguard, but I guess for the most part he kind of is. But this is Stuart. And Stuart, again, is kind of George's other right-hand man. Big guy. Very big guy. I kept, every once in a while, I'd say, come on, put your hand up. And I'd put my hand up to his. And his hand, like, my hand looks like a 4-year-old next to his hand. Very, very nice guy. Could not be nicer. Lot of fun. He's another Australian, so he's a fun guy. He likes to drink and everything. So every night in the bar, he's always there. And he'll stay up, past when George goes to bed. He is another guy. We met him back in October when we were in Washington for the Spy Museum thing, and George was there, so Stuart came. And I think, we all went out to dinner, and then as things got late, select few of us hung out, stayed out a little too late and found a little hole-in-the-wall bars, in Washington, and he was there, and he had a great time with us. So then we saw him on this trip. It's like, oh my God, what's up? And, again, he was always there. Couldn't have been nicer. So on the last night, I said, dude, I got to get one picture of you before this trip is done. So there he is. And again, super nice guy. A lot of fun to hang around with and very, very easygoing. This is a weird one. This is, I snapped this picture at the bar at the Hotel Eiger. And it was funny because, I guess when they shot the film, somebody had done this caricature. It looks like a Playboy kind of a caricature. And they put this up. I don't know if it's specifically supposed to be a James Bond related illustration. I mean, it says James Bond and Mirren. So it's doesn't look James Bondish to me, but I guess that is somebody else's take on it. But somebody in the bar pulled me aside and showed me this illustration. Now, and they kept, somebody pulls me over, and again, in English is I forget who actually was showing this to me. Somebody whose second language would be English. So they're showing me this illustration, and they show me the signatures, and he kept saying, "Look at the penis," and I'm like, "Wait, what? What?" And he goes, "Look at the penis, look at the penis," and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know what you're telling me. So, but then he pointed, and I realized that George Lazenby had signed it right by the guy's crotch. So I don't know if this was intentional, but that's where George signed it. But I believe this is also signed by several of the Bond women who were in the film, etc. So this is hanging in the bar at the Hotel Lager. And there's me and my buddy Josiah again back at the. This is back in Berg, posing with George in our tuxes, looking good. And again, you can't. If I painted that picture, it would look. This looks photoshopped to me. It's just too. The location is just too amazing to be real. Okay, now this is. If you've heard of the band called Cue the Music, all right. In fact, I'm gonna back up a second. I've heard of this band for quite some time. They've been around now. They've been doing this for a couple of years, and I've heard people talk about Cue the Music. It's a Bond cover band that does Bond music. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. That's something I would like. And I figured at some point I'll see them. And I never really, whatever. They played, and again, like I said, everything about this event was top of the line. So they got this band, Cue the Music, to come all the way to Piz Gloria. Now, this is not a small band. It's a good size. I mean, it's a small orchestra. It's a good size band. I don't know how many people are in it necessarily, but I'll just say it. They were off the hook. They were incredible. They were so good. Again, now, like, if somebody says they're a James Bond cover band, that does not tell you anything about how good this band is. First off, I'll just say this. They did a concert. They did a concert at Piz Gloria for this event. They did a lot of Bond cover songs. They did Bond cover songs that were spectacular. Again, they have, I don't know how many pieces are in this orchestra or in this band, but they didn't skimp on anything. They did spectacular renditions of these songs. They played a lot of Bond songs. Then at one point they played several of the pieces from the On Her Majesty's Secret Service score. They're doing the John Barry score. Several of the pieces all in a row to make this like 20-minute long piece from the film. And they did it perfectly. They did it so good. I mean, and any other live, I mean, if you've seen live music, you've seen a live concert, you know what it's like when you're actually hearing the music, being created right in front of you. It's a whole different experience. It's amazing. So they did the score, and again, it was kind of standing room only. They kind of lined everything up at one portion of Piz Gloria. They're on like the second floor. So you kind of, you'd stand there, you'd watch, you'd sort of walk around a little bit. At one point, when they were doing the score from On Her Majesty's, I went upstairs, I'm playing cards, and I'm sitting there I'm like, oh my God, I'm playing, and this is what I'm saying when I talk about Bondgasm, like everything just sort of hit a peak. That was just so incredible. Here I am sitting at the blackjack table. I'm in Piz Gloria. I can see the view of the Alps behind me. I can see the golden balustrade, the sort of gold fence, I suppose you call it, with the gold rings that you see in the film very prominently. That's in front of me. The view is behind me. I'm playing cards, and the music from the band downstairs playing the theme from the film. I'm like, you can't beat this. You can't beat this. This is got to be like the moment in my life that I don't think I'll ever forget. Um, so and again, then I went back down. The band is still going. They're not only are they doing cover songs, by the way, they're doing covers of the songs that I hate. Like they literally did a cover of "Another Way to Die" from Quantum, and and it was funny when they introduced it. They said, here's a song that I think a lot of Bond fans don't like, but I think we rock it pretty good. And they played it. It was great, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh my god, am I being converted on this song? I hate this song, but when I hear the band doing it, like boom, boom, and they're hitting every note spot on. Oh my god, they really, really did it incredible. Um, every song they did was awesome, and then they topped it off with the version of On Her Majesty's that was done by the Propeller Heads for the David Arnold Shaken Not Stirred album. They did that off the hook. They did it great, and I like that version. I like that version of that song. So it's a tech, like a tech. I don't know if techno is exactly what I want. But I'm sitting there listening to them do that, and I'm saying to myself, gee, this band they did all of John Barry from 1969, and now they're doing the Propeller Heads, the modern rendition by the I'm like, without skipping a beat. But incredibly different styles, different genres, they did both incredible. Like I'm like, how do you manage to pull off both of those flawlessly? So I was blown away by this band. So I mean, I have to tell you, if you, this is a band you should support, and honestly take this as like a personal request. Support that band, Cue the Music, because what they're doing for Bond fans is so good. They're the level of talent in that band is so worth preserving and encouraging. If you have a chance to see them, absolutely see them. And I really encourage you to go to their website. Just look up Cue the Music, Google it. You can buy CDs from them. You can download the music. I know you like. Again, they're in the UK, so to buy a CD is a little tricky. But I was literally, by the way, when the band is playing, I'm running around finding the people that are with the band, and I'm saying, please tell me you have CDs. Please tell me you have something I can buy. I said, I will throw money at you just to buy something to take home. Seriously, go to their website, download the album that they have. It's so good. And again, they are really, I really encourage you to support that band. They're really, really good. And again, I'd like to see them blossom and continue to do what they're doing because they're so worth it. So with that, so I'll finish these out. And there was another part. There was another part of the evening that I also want to mention too, by the way. But again, this Cue the Music they were just so damn good, and it really just capped the whole night just so perfectly. Again, I really encourage you to and this was, it speaks for itself, right? This was the sun setting on Piz Gloria, and I'm looking. This was taken out the window. This was the view of the night. I'm like, how do you beat this? How do you beat this? Is there even anything to say about it? Neil Martin, even Dirty Love from License to Kill was fantastic. I agree. They nailed everything and they knocked it out of the park. The Bond Armory playing cards in a tuxedo at Piz Gloria, playing the score. That's incredible. Totally. Lloyd, I think it helps that they have one singer on Another Way to Die instead of a duet. Yeah, again, they did their version of it and they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. Yeah, so here's the view. I mean, you can't beat that. It was just incredible. It's another shot very similar. So there you go. I mean, and I honestly, I don't think these pictures really even do it justice. Like I said, I took a ton of video. I'm basically thinking I'm gonna do 3 videos of the trip. Like this was sort of like my preliminary, just get out some of the initial thoughts, talk about it, even though it's already going on a week. I wish I did this sooner, by the way, but the second I got home, I had to record the Goldfinger review with Scott. So we did that, and I had to edit it and get that posted. So once that was posted, I was able to put this presentation together. So, but um, again, this evening was absolutely positively incredible. The only other thing I wanted to mention, by the way, was there was a fella named Tom Waldick who I've seen. Again, he's another guy. Look him up on YouTube, Tom Waldick. He's done some. He's obviously a professional video editor. I don't know what else he does. I don't know how he makes his living, if that's exactly how he does it, but he is a professional video editor, and I've seen him for many years. He's done these really awesome Bond montages of the films where he's rearranged to sort of create an effect. He did something not long after Quantum, which he called the Vesper Chronicles, and it was really cool. He sort of montaged together parts from Casino and parts from Quantum, and it kind of becomes this Vesper love letter, and it's really well done. Um, so I've been following him for a long time. So when at one point during the Piz Gloria celebration, they would sort of usher people little by little into the like a viewing room where you sat, and they presented a video, and the guy introduced himself as Tom Waldick, and I went, oh my god, I know that guy. So again, never met him, but I know of him. He put together, and I know he's got like a production group now, and I'm gonna forget the name, but if you just look up Tom Waldick, you'll find him. Um, he and his group put together a montage of Honor Majesty Secret Service. It was a tribute video to the 50th anniversary, and it was incredible. Incredible. And again, I hate to sound like a broken record that everything I'm talking about was just incredible, but I swear to you, I'm not exaggerating. This thing was amazing. He did this again. It was a montage video, Honor Majesty's 50th tribute. So well done. And again, I'm not even giving it the credit it's due. If I just say it was like a montage of scenes, it was so much more than that. He rearranged things. I know that he did like his own audio at some points. They would show fight scenes and things, and you knew he added some audio effects here and there to pump up the action and the impact of certain scenes. And I swear to you, by the end of it, I was doing this, and I'm not even kidding. I literally had tears in my eyes watching this. He did such a great job with this, and it was the perfect tribute to the film. I'm hoping, praying that what he did ends up on YouTube or ends up available in some way, because it was that good. I'll say this. When I went to Spyscape, which was good, they did a video montage of the DB5, right? It was a tribute to the DB5, so they took all the clips together, and I kind of sat there with my phone, kind of, taking some video of what they had done. Not so much to bootleg it, but just to sort of like see if I could recreate what they had done and see if I could match what they had done to make my own. I could never do that with this. If I copied what he did, if I took it and I tried to I could never do it. And I'm a reasonably decent video editor. I couldn't do this. This was so professional and so well done. And again, it's not just about the technical expertise. It's about he packed such emotion into this video. I literally had tears. I'm not even kidding. So that's that. So there you go. I mean, the celebration part of it was it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Again, I don't know how you even do it. I don't know how you organize so much Um, I mean, it was like again, I'm gonna gush my entire life. I will gush about this trip, and I just I can't do it justice. I really can't. Um, Waldeck Joe Silag, Waldeck's company is Passion Fruit. Thank you, Joe. So if you see, look up Passion Fruit on YouTube. I don't know if they're there, but again, I know Waldeck is. Um, so yeah, just oh my god, were they good? So last day in Murin, um, yeah, they took us on a helicopter ride. Again, like, how do you outdo the night before? Well, the only way you could possibly even come close is to take a helicopter ride up into the Swiss Alps. They took us up in the helicopter. We went around Piz Gloria, past Piz Gloria, um, and we landed on this glacier. They took us to this glacier and landed, let us get out. It was pretty crazy. You know, there's yours truly sitting on a glacier on top of the Alps. You can see, like, I'm up as high as the mountaintops next to the helicopter. I mean, it's the only way you can possibly even come close to outdoing what we had done. And there's a nice picture of Wybo, Jeff Wybo from James Bond Canada. And why is this picture interesting? Over his shoulder, that's a Bond girl. the That is Catherine Schell, who, her name is going to escape me in the film, but she's the Bond girl who James Bond finds in his room after he's left Ruby's room. She says, "I got out with a fingernail file." And again, super duper nice. She was staying in the same hotel as we were. She's sitting on the on the patio, looking at the incredible view and reading her book. We didn't want to bother her while she was reading, but I did get a chance. I did see her at the bar probably the next night after the big shindig, and I was able to say, "Hey, big fan, thank you so much for what you did in the film." So that's a lot of fun. So so here you are, you hang out in Murin, you just you bump into Bond girls, you can't beat that. And there's yours truly. By the way, I lugged this sweater. It was it was weird because I packed so much stuff. I packed so much clothes because, again, I'm thinking I'm going to Portugal. I need warm clothes, and then I'm going to Switzerland. I need cold weather clothes. So, of course, my suitcase is loaded with sweaters. It was so warm in Switzerland, we really didn't even need them. But I told myself, I'm going to wear this sweater, damn it, before I go home. So the last night we were there, the last day, I took out the sweater and wore it. This is the Quantum sweater, obviously. And I think this is my last shot. This was literally, again, that's the patio that I was just showing you, sitting. Again, how do you match that view? How do you match it? How do you match it? You can't. So again, it was just over the top. Oh, and by the way, I had to take a picture of this. This is the train literally leaving, as we were taking the train back to Zurich, because we were flying out of Zurich the next day. Not quite Darlington, but I figured that's close enough. So there you go. And by the way, the last day they had an autograph session, and I really should have gotten a few, but honestly, I feel so funny at those things because I feel like if I go and ask one person for one, but I don't get one from somebody else, it looks a little weird. So, which is probably not the attitude I should have, but I did. I did, however, get autographs in Portugal. Now, and again, to be honest with you, I wasn't going to get one from George because not only do I have several of George, I could probably wallpaper my bathroom with them. I got some that I got myself, and I've had some that friends got for me. In fact, Paul Curiazzi, How to Live the James Bond Lifestyle, he was an event that George was at, and he was nice enough to have George sign an autograph for me. And he mailed it to me. I kind of felt like that was enough, because I honestly felt like that now has I have like a personal feeling from that one for two reasons. Because I thought it's so cool that I got George Lazenby's autograph, but the fact that Paul Curiosity is nice enough to send me a copy, because I think I reached out to him again. We'd spoken many times. I think I told him that I was trying to go to this particular event that he was going to be at. I couldn't do it, so he sent me that. And how nice is that? So anyway, so I have George's autograph a couple times, but really I wanted one from Terry, because I never, again, because Terry was super nice. So I wanted to get one from Terry, and again, super nice guy. Joe, Terry Mountain, thank you. I don't know if you can read it, but so anyway, so this was Portugal, and it was just the two of them, so I couldn't ask Terry without getting one from George as well. So I did. I'm sorry that I wish there we go. The light's a little weird, but there's George. And I like this one too, because I thought it was cool because they were smart enough to put the logo on the bottom. So it's not just an autograph from George, but I know it's from that specific event. So that in itself is really cool. And by the way, these were the coasters. Like, look at these things. How cool are these? They had these coasters made that the first time we sat down to dinner in Portugal, those coasters were there. And by the way, another good friend that I met on this trip, Michael Hackle. Wow, was he nice. He gave me, first of all, this was done, I believe, for the 50th event. But this particular artist, whose name I'm going to forget. Am I glad I can't see what I really should be wearing readers, but I'm not. But this artist, look at the stuff he does. I mean, these are absolutely incredible. And Michael was so incredibly nice to give me as a gift the whole set. There's the one from Honor Majesties. It's a tribute to James Bond. I mean, and these are really gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. From Russia with Love. I won't go through every single one, but he literally gave me an envelope with all of them. I mean, and there's for one of my favorites. So that was super, super nice. Michael, thank you very much for that. So that's it. And we're starting to approach the 1 hour mark. Like I said, I knew this was easily going to go 2 hours, so without even blinking. So, love the coasters. It was 70, Josiah, like it was 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but damn it, he wore the sweater. Yes. I said, I lugged this sweater all the way here. I'm going to wear it, damn it. And it's a big sweater. I mean, again, this is the Quantum sweater, so it takes up some room in your suitcase. But I was determined. I said, I'm going to wear the sweater. And I think I wore it the very last day, and the last night over to the hotel. And I think 10 minutes later, I said, all right, I'm done. So there you go. There's, Kyle B. Should have gone to this thing. Ed Swain. Wow, he'd be a great choice. The artist of the Bond 25 poster. There you go. So, again, that is the Honor Majesty Secret Service 50th wrap-up. And honestly, it was just off the hook. Again, like I said, I knew I was going to sit here and just gush. But, I think by now you probably get the picture that it was just really good. Martin Mulder, again, I have to give him all the credit in the world for putting this together. I literally don't know how he did it. I would love to sort of bend his ear one day when I have a couple minutes and he has a couple of minutes. And this was the first time I actually met Martin in person again. So it was great the first night that we're in Portugal when I got to sit with him. Hey, finally introduce myself. Thank you. But I have to tell you, I just don't know how he did it. Um, I mean, you see the size of that book, by the way, the on the tracks of 007. And again, if you don't have it, get it. You see the work that goes into that and what had to have gone into that. And he had a partner at the time to work on that. But it's still a book that's this thick with every Bond location imaginable from every film. So, I mean, this is a guy who can do things. So, the fact that he could put this together, it's still just a marvel. So, there you go. I really have to just give him credit. Like I said, there was absolutely nothing about this trip that did not surpass my expectations. It really didn't. Again, everything was just amazing. That's it. I'm coming up on 2 hours, so I'll leave it there. 50th anniversary of Diamonds Are Forever. Are we all going to Vegas? It doesn't have the same cachet, but the Bond fans would make it fun. Boom. Exactly. Yes. I that's sort of my feeling too. I can't imagine anything matching this event because all the planets just lined up. The locations are magnificent. The film is magnificent. But I'll tell you what, if Martin is willing to give it a shot, I'm there. I mean, I really feel like I got faith that if he can, pull it off, if anybody can pull it off, he can do it. So again, I'm going to wrap it up because again, my 2 hours is up. So again, thank you for being here, for putting up with me for 2 whole hours to pontificate about this trip. And I hope my love for this trip, I hope my excitement has rubbed off a little bit. So again, thank you for putting up with me in this whole thing. I hope it was reasonably interesting. And my name is Joe Darlington, and this is Being James Bond. Please subscribe. I'm sure you probably already have, but if you haven't, check it out. And I'll leave it at that. And I'll, again, keep an eye out for more videos because, ironically, I'm just scratching the surface, and I got more to show you. So I'll sign off. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Take it easy.